Hi, this is Sandy Shellis with Chronic Pain is Our Reality, and today I'm going to talk about this article. I'm going to read some of it called Narcissism Victim Syndrome, a New Diagnosis. It was from 2004, and what prompted me to go into this was I've just gotten out of a 4-day chronic pain jag that was just horrible, and it was awful. From whatever, it was awful. And I was thinking about how difficult relationships and how friends of mine have described their pain as being worse from difficult relationships, difficult spouses. And so I thought, maybe I'll dive into this a little bit. I want to talk to you about this diagnosis because a lot of us suffer pain, and while we're looking for the relief and we want to go back on what we had to make our lives better, there are other reasons besides just the physical that can really be making us hurt, and we might not realize it. A lot of us don't. So this one, Narcissism Victim Syndrome, and it was written from Medical News Today, and it was 2004. It was for practitioners. So I'm going to start off, not in the beginning, I'm just going to start off with, who are these patients and how did they get this way? While there may be many situations with similar symptoms, it's important to recognize these may be victims of narcissists and they need your help. While narcissism itself has been a diagnosis in the DSM, psychiatry's complete reference, little to nothing has been written in the medical literature surrounding those who live with the narcissist and the tortures that they live. And there are many of them out there. Narcissism is a broad spectrum of behaviors. On a scale of 1 to 10, there's the pathological or the narcissistic personality disorder is who I've heard most of my friends talk about relationships that had, not most of my friends, but people with dysfunctional relationships like that. Healthy narcissism, they talk about healthy narcissism. I'm not going to read that part because I don't think there is any healthy narcissism. I think the writing has changed a bit since then, but the article still is relevant. Yet, pathological narcissism is an ironic twist of this healthy state. Outwardly, it appears that these people love themselves too much, to the exclusion of anyone else. They are God Himself, and those around them must recognize their omnipotence, supreme knowledge, and absolute entitlement and power. Rules don't apply to them. They have an unrealistic, overblown sense of self, often without the credentials to match, as well as fantasies of unlimited power, success, and or brilliance. They are interpersonally exploitive and have absolutely no understanding of empathy or compassion. And if you're with someone like that and you can't leave, it's so difficult to understand the dynamics of these relationships. They are neither kind nor benevolent gods, and those who live with them end up paying the price. While there is a range of narcissistic behaviors lying between 1 and 10 on this scale, one doesn't have to have full-blown NPD to do incredible damage to those in the inner circle. That's maybe kitties. While victims of narcissists are generally codependents, most have no idea how they got in the situation. Because in the early stages of the relationship, the narcissistic person can be most charming. They can be like an Academy Award winner. The early days of dating, it's fast and furious and vastly romantic, and oftentimes marriage proposals come in a few weeks. You know the deal. You have friends that have had that, and you have friends that had uncomfortable relationships with a man or a woman that you knew there was something going on. But when you're living with it and you have chronic pain and you have intractable and you're not getting help with your chronic pain and you live with this, we are all way too familiar with overt narcissists. those abusive husbands or wives who send thousands of battered women or men to the emergency room each year. They feel it is their God-given right to beat, abuse, and otherwise treat their partner in whatever method they deem necessarily, and no one can tell them otherwise. How does not that give somebody pain? And is that an assessment that happens ever? Then there is the verbally abusive and controlling narcissist, and that's mostly what I've come in contact with in my observations. And that's all it is observations, subjective observations. Then there is the verbally abusive and controlling narcissist, the one who uses emotional abuse as his weapon of choice. He tells his victim whom she can see, what time she needs to be home, when she can go to bed. Or, in the case of Jamie, whose husband makes her recite every day, "I'm only worth 29 cents, the price of a bullet." He erodes her self-worth to nothing to keep her under control. Who else could possibly want such a worthless woman as she? With that belief, she will never leave him for good, although she makes many brief attempts to do so. How do you think she feels? If she has fibromyalgia, or if she's had back surgery or neck surgery and she's in a situation with someone who's completely unsupportive like that, we have a lot of brothers and sisters in that situation. Then, so she said, she always returns. The brainwashing continues day after day. It's emotionally exhausting, draining, and vastly unhealthy. Well, all relationships with narcissists are unhealthy. Yet, almost worse is the stealth narcissist. So sinister and silent is this ability to drive their partner crazy that they don't suspect anything bad is happening until it's too late. They are the master of the little digs. "Honey, why on earth would you cook eggs and butter? No one does it that way. What's wrong with you?" Or, "If you'd only do what I say, we'd both be happy." The person assumes the silent treatment when they are slighted, punishing his family or her family by ignoring them for hours, leaving them wondering, what did they do wrong to make him act this way? He may forget birthday or Christmas presents year after year. He may show up hours late and his partner is supposed to understand with no explanation even offered. She may have another man on the side and feel quite entitled to do so. So I'd say that kind of toxic relationship, man, I think it can heighten pain like crazy. And I know there's help out there for people that are in this. And if you're one of those people, I hope you do find help, because your pain is worse because of that toxic relationship. And so it could be a lot of different people. Victims are not only spouses, it says. They could be coworkers, employees, children, or friends of narcissists. When the narcissist is the victim's mother, it's a difficult spot to be in, as most children, even grown children, find it impossible to leave the relationship. And the abuse continues for years. And then something happens to your body, and you're in that, and your neck kills you, or your back kills you, or whatever it is particularly that you have, and you're dealing with that kind of difficult, toxic person. These people, you have to change your life and not have them in your life. I guess there's no amount of an opioid that's going to stop that. So how can you help them? First, by asking for, then this is the healthcare professionals. First, ask these people questions to determine what's going on in their environment. Healthcare professionals already know the effect that stress has on so many of us. But the added stress of living with a narcissist is rarely understood or recognized by the victims themselves even. Knowledge is power, and by asking the right questions about their situation, you might be able to help them begin to better recognize their problems, seek help with your friends too that suffer, with our online each other. We talk about our health, we talk about our problems, we talk about our kids. Do we really any of us talk about toxic relationships? Because it's very painful to do so. Help them find hope before years of suffering and stuffing their anger due to this abusive treatment leads to venting in unhealthy ways, or it just hurts. It happens. Thanks for coming and watching the video. I hope you all feel better. We'll see what those CDC guidelines do. I know they've been updated.